If you are thinking about going into aesthetic nursing and you are wondering if they make good money, how much money they actually make, if it's anything that's comparable to what you would make in the hospital, at the bedside, in a clinic, then you are on the right video. Hi, my name's Nadia. I'm an aesthetic nurse injector and I'm based in California. So I've been in aesthetics now for just over a year. So I thought I would share what exactly I made in my first year of aesthetic nursing. I know like financial topics are taboo for a lot of people. I don't really care. I think it's important to be transparent, especially if you are deciding like what sort of career path to take, if you're in nursing school or you're at the bedside and you are over it and just looking to do something new. I hope that this video helps you guys, because the first time I was actually offered an aesthetic nursing job, I didn't take it because I was scared of a pay cut. So let's get into it. First, I want to kind of go over the different type of pay structures that you might encounter getting into the aesthetic world. So there are a variety of ways that an aesthetic nurse might be paid. There's hourly, commission, hourly and commission, hourly plus like potential bonuses. There are a lot of different ways you might be paid. I do go into more detail about this in my last video. I will put a card for it up here and I'll link it in the description as well. But that video went over the main differences between aesthetic nursing and bedside nursing. So if you are at the bedside right now or trying to pick between the two, then definitely watch that video after this one. But depending where you work, depending where you get a job, how you're paid is gonna be completely different. So hourly will look exactly how it sounds. Every hour that you work, you get paid a certain amount. As a new aesthetic nurse, this is what I would recommend for you if you are first starting out. Why? Because you have no clients, you're probably not very good yet. You don't know what you're doing, nobody knows who you are, your books are not gonna be full, and you're really probably gonna be doing just like a lot of shadowing and a lot of training. So you do want the higher compensation per hour than maybe an experienced injector that would prefer to get commission. So when you're a newbie and you're interviewing or you're looking for jobs, look for something where you have a little bit of security and at least you know you're putting in hours and you're gonna get paid for those hours that you work. So I know that there are also places that pay their nurses commission on top of an hourly rate. When this is the case, usually the hourly is a little bit lower because you do have more flexibility in your income with the commission. Same with bonuses. I did experience this a bit. Don't mind my dogs if you hear a bunch of weird noises, I'm so sorry. I did experience this at the beginning of my career this year, or this past year. We would have like monthly challenges and whoever meets this goal gets like, you know, a chunk of cash in their next paycheck. So that was like a bonus pay structure. Or I think some places, if you hit a certain threshold in your sales, then you get like a big payout. So you could just get straight hourly. You could also be able to get commission. You could get bonuses, or you could be mainly commission based, which is what I am now. So I want to go through all of the different pay structures that I had myself at my job this last year and like what I would recommend you look for if you are looking for an aesthetic job. So when I first was hired, I was hired as an hourly employee and I am in California, remember. So at my bedside job, I was making $64, $65 an hour. That was my hourly pay. It was just that. I could work overtime if I wanted, but nobody wants to because the hospital is miserable. And then when I stepped down from my full-time bedside job, I transitioned into per diem. So I was on the exact same unit doing the exact same job, but I was only working like 3 to 4 shifts a month and I lost my benefits. So my pay went up to $81 an hour. That's a huge jump, but remember it's only 4 shifts a month. I couldn't really handle any more than that. So was at 65, went to 81, and then the med spa that I was applying to, they offered me $50 an hour starting with the promise of a bump to $60 an hour after like my probation period or whatever, which I think was 6 months. So before I even hit that 6 months, my boss recommended that I go to a commission-based pay structure. Luckily, my boss has my actual best interest in mind, and she really likes math. She's like a math geek. So she had been running my numbers. She told me, I promise you'll be making more if you were on commission. Even though I was really new, I still had pretty good gaps in my schedule. Honestly, it usually takes a couple of years for an injector to fill their books consistently. I did have the benefit of really slamming on social media and filling up faster than normal. So I trusted her and I switched over to commission. So with commission, you gain a lot of freedom, right? You don't have to trade your time for money anymore. I didn't feel like I needed to be there just to be there. If the day was slow or if there was nothing to learn or nothing to train on, I could go. I could leave, I could go home, which was nice. And that is also something I should address. So in the hospital, I was working 36 hours a week, 3 12-hour shifts, which is 72 hours per pay period. I work much less now. I work 24 hours a week max. I work 4 6-hour shifts by choice because I can, and I really needed that sort of flexibility and lifestyle. I was sick of feeling like a slave to my job, even though I wasn't there a lot. It's just so miserable and life crushing that you feel like you're there way too much, no matter how many days you actually work. Okay, so in California, the law states that you do have to make at least minimum wage if you are an employee anywhere. Any W-2 employee needs to make at least minimum wage. So when I switched over to commission, that is what my hourly became, was minimum wage. And in California in 2023, that is $15 an hour. So I went from 65 to 81 to 50 to 15, which sounded really scary, but I just trusted my boss, trusted myself, knew that I have a competitive nature and a lot of drive to succeed and be good at this job. So I took the plunge. So with that $15 an hour cut, my commission was 15% of my sales for services. I believe I made 20% on energy-based treatments, which is lasers, and 10% on skincare. So the majority of my commission would be a 15% chunk of what I sold during a pay period. So I really want to share actual numbers so you can get an idea of what's realistic for you. It'll vary depending on what state you live in, but it should be comparable at least to what a hospital nurse pay is compared to an aesthetic nurse, no matter where you are. So that being said, when I switched to commission, let me look at my actual numbers. So I want to share with you my average hourly for each month that I was working, because obviously I'm working way less hours. So sharing my gross pay is not helpful. It doesn't make any sense. It's like comparing apples and oranges. I do have the actual numbers in a blog post that I posted about this, so I will link that down below. But for the 7 months now that I've been on commission, my average hourly wage that I'm making is $100 an hour. Obviously with commission, you will have ebbs and flows. There are busy seasons and slow seasons depending on the weather and what people usually do at those times. In winter, people get a lot of laser treatments because you have to be out of the sun, and we are in a really hot sunny state. So every season has its own pros and cons, but sometimes I was making $95 an hour, sometimes I was making $130 an hour, just depending on how busy I was for that pay period. But I averaged all of the months, the 7 months that I was on commission, and the average is $100 an hour. So that was double what I was making working more hours, but just as an hourly employee, which I really appreciate, having a little bit of control over my paycheck and knowing that I work hard, and if I do work hard, it'll show on my pay stub, which is really nice. So I do want to keep this short and sweet. There's no reason for me to be dragging things out. But in summary, at the hospital, I was making $65 an hour. Without any benefits, I was making $81 an hour. Starting as an injector, I was making $50 an hour, and currently I'm making $100 an hour. So even more than I was making as a per diem nurse, which are the highest paid nurses. So out here we have a hospital called Kaiser. I don't know if that's everywhere. I don't think so. But anyway, wherever there's a lot of Kaisers, the nurses make a lot of money. Northern California, Sacramento in particular, is actually the highest paid nursing population in the entire country relative to like living costs. So I'm really lucky that I just happen to live here. But I am by far exceeding my income in aesthetics, like compared to what I was making in the hospital, which is really nice because I love my job and it's nice to have something you love be lucrative for you. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions for me, I honestly have no secrets. I don't care. I will share anything. I will link the blog post in the description. It's a little bit more in detail. And I will also link my video comparing bedside and aesthetics. I do have a whole aesthetic nurse playlist, so I'll link that as well. But I hope to see you guys soon. Good luck in all of your future decisions and career aspirations. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.